What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. This channel, Financipation, is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. So in this particular video, guys, we're going to talk about a subject that I personally think more of us need to hear about. And a lot of times in this particular space that we live in, people want to boo-boo and belittle, corporate America. For whatever reason, people have this idea that working a 9 to 5, working an 8 to 5 is somehow beneath them, and that it's doesn't matter and it's not important. And I want to pretty much dispel that nonsense, in my opinion, in this particular video, because to me, there are a lot of skills that you learn in corporate America that literally prepare you for so many different facets of your life, whether it's dating, whether it's your finances, whether it's learning how to manage a budget and so forth, and even how to get along with people. So in this particular video, that's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about that today in this particular video. Basically, different ways that corporate America more or less prepares you for life. So the first thing that corporate America teaches you is it teaches you how to wake up early. If you listen to my channel and you're familiar with my particular journey, you'll know that I get up every morning pretty much at 3:30 in the morning to work out. And there are specific reasons why I do that. For one, as I said earlier, I get up that early to work out because I do truly believe there is a direct relationship between how much money you make, how much energy you have, and how basically how more or less obese you are. And typically speaking, healthier people make more money, and they also basically live longer and live better lives. If you don't believe me, take a look at any CEO of almost any Fortune 500 company. Very rarely are they morbidly obese. So one thing that corporate America teaches, it teaches you how to wake up early. I get up at 3:30 so that I can work out, but I also get up so that because it's the only time of the day, more or less, I kind of have to myself in between running my businesses, in between being a senior, being in a senior position in my corporate America, my 9 to 5. I get up that early so that I can gather my thoughts, so I can physically take care of my body, and more important, so that I can mentally prepare for the day. Moving forward, the next thing, step number 2, corporate America teaches you how to be the only. And what I mean by being the only, I very clearly am a Black man. And as the Black man who's also a mechanical engineer who basically designs billion-dollar buildings and billion-dollar facilities for some of the largest companies and most aggressive clients in the world, I very clearly stand out. And when I say be the only, corporate America teaches you pretty much how to be the only one who looks like you, basically how to dominate in that particular space. And there honestly is a skill to it. I've been in positions where I've seen females where they're the only, it's a male-dominated industry, say like construction or engineering or whatever, and literally a female is the only one that's there. I've been in situations where I've seen an Indian gentleman or an Asian gentleman. They are literally the only. And as a result, there are certain skills that you're gonna have to learn about being the only, that you only kind of somewhat learn if you are in a corporate environment. I've worked on projects I've worked on projects pretty much in the deep South, and let's just say that they don't see a lot of people who look like me, and definitely not with my academic pedigree. And conversely, I've been on projects pretty much in the Northeast where, for whatever reason, they don't see a lot of individuals from different parts of other parts of the world, such as Sri Lanka or Malaysia or whatever. So basically, being in corporate America, it teaches you how to be the only. And generally speaking, people, I'm gonna talk more about this in another step. Companies that don't embrace diversity, they die. If you don't believe me, take a look at some of the companies from 40 or 50 years ago that were top Fortune 500 companies that did not embrace diversity. There was, generally speaking, a very monochromatic type of individual, typically speaking, white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant male, pretty much who dominated these industries. And because they refused to hire outside, it limited the amount of outside excellence that basically came there as far as communities that they could appeal to and so forth. So one beautiful thing about corporate America is it teaches you how to be the only. And my experience of being the only is that if you are the only quote unquote Black guy, or the only quote unquote woman, or the only quote unquote Indian guy, the only quote unquote Asian guy that's there, in my opinion, you should kind of somewhat go out of your way a little bit to try to get to know your coworkers. You'd be surprised, people. In a lot of ways, we actually have a lot more in common than you would think. So my experience is that find a common ground. If you're a guy, talk sports. Generally speaking, if you live in America, American football, that's a very easy common denominator to talk to anybody. College football is another one. You can talk baseball, you can talk basketball, you can talk football, and you can talk soccer to some extent. So basically find commonalities. I also say that you should basically go out of your way to, if your coworkers are going for drinks after work, you should go out. You should go out with them. If you don't drink, basically grab some ginger ale, grab some Dr. Pepper or whatever when you're at the bar with them. But basically, go out of your way to get to know your coworkers. Golf outings, that's another one. Saturday, Sunday mornings or whatever. If golf is your thing, instead of playing soccer, instead of playing basketball with your boys, Basically, hang out with some of your coworkers. You'd be kind of surprised about the different commonalities that you guys can particularly have if you don't quote unquote look like them. One of the offices that I worked in, most of my coworkers like to shoot. I like to shoot myself. So basically, I would bring my handgun, I would bring my rifle, and I would go shooting with them sometimes pretty much outside of work. And I truly believe that you can learn more from a man in 1 hour of play than you can an entire year of work. So in other words, basically over drinks and playing golf, shooting guns, whatever it is that you're into, you can learn a lot more about your coworkers in 1 hour, basically of having fun with them than you can an entire year of working with them. So that's what I'll say about that. If you're the corporate America, it teaches you how to be the only. Next, number three, corporate America teaches you how to be competitive and it teaches you how to shoot for promotions. So imagine this scenario, okay? You are in a company that has 500 people, and in these 500 people, you have 15 people in your department. Of these 15 people in your department, all of you all have the same academic pedigree. All of you all work the same 50 to 60 hours a week. All of you have the same access to the resources. Typically speaking, you actually don't have the same access to the resources, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But basically, all of you are competing basically for that one promotion. Same academic pedigree, same amount of hours worked, and same types of projects if you're lucky. How in the world do you get that promotion and they don't? Corporate America teaches you how to be competitive. It teaches you essentially basically say, okay, if all 15 of us are going for this one promotion, which is a $25,000 pay raise, how do I get it and they don't? Maybe that involves you basically going doing your research and saying, okay, the only way to get this position is I need to get another certification, or maybe I need to get another college degree, or maybe I need to finish this project on time and ahead of schedule, 25% faster than everyone else, and continue to do that. And I won't lie as well, people. There also is a minority. There also is a component to it that unfortunately goes beyond just your pedigree. If you are a minority, you might have to work a little bit harder for that promotion. But the beautiful thing about corporate America, if you're a female, you might have to work a little bit harder, basically, if you don't quote unquote look like the men who have typically been in that role. But the beautiful thing about it is that corporate America, it teaches you how to be competitive, and it teaches you how to say, okay, I didn't get the promotion this year. How do I get the promotion next year? Such and such got fired. Why did he get fired? What can I do different that I don't get fired? Okay, such and such basically went from this level to this level, in 3 years. I've still been at this level for 1 year. Okay, boss, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Corporate America, it teaches you these kind of things, and it forces you to kind of work on that kind of stuff. Next, time management skills, deadlines, and due dates. One of the things I find very interesting whenever I've done business with people is that when they claim to be boss chicks, they claim to be, I don't know, high value men, or they claim to be entrepreneurs or CEOs or whatever, and the person can't even basically put together a time period and be on time for their own meetings. Or the person claims to have these elaborate titles, and you ask them, okay, where's your website? Oh, I don't have one. Or you ask them basically, okay, send me this invoice, and they're late and it's all sloppy. One thing that I love about corporate America is that there's a certain level of excellence that you have to have, minimum level of excellence that you have to have, that you can, and the people who basically skip that step and they go straight to their businesses, or they basically never want to work for anyone, they want to go straight to themselves. A lot of times what I've noticed is they're not nearly as polished as the same individual who's in the exact same industry as they are, who's been doing it for 15 or 20 years. Corporate America, whether you like it or dislike it, it essentially teaches you time management skills. It teaches you basically how to balance multiple projects. Okay, I've got 9 projects that are due. I have 60 hours a week to work. How do I do these 9 projects? Okay, I have a deadline here. My secretary is calling, my lawyer is calling me, this engineer is calling me, my marketing people are calling me. I need to put my time sheet in. Corporate America essentially teaches you pretty much how to balance all these things. And that balance is very good, because just like the whole working out thing, it filters itself to other areas in your life. And that's an amazing thing. It teaches you all that stuff. Next, corporate America teaches you to get along with people that don't look like you, they don't vote like you, and they may not even pretty much like you at all. And this is one of those kind of things that kind of goes back to being the only. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. Depending on what you look like and where you come from, there's a very good possibility you could be around a bunch of people who do not like you and basically don't look like you. And sometimes it has nothing to do with race. Sometimes it's just basically they just don't like you because they think you're lazy. They don't like you because they think that you're not as good as they are. They think that basically you're in a position that you shouldn't be in. And you basically have to figure out a way to change their opinion about you. From my experience, I've learned that basically work hard, work smart, basically get your work done, and figure out a way basically to do it faster and more efficient than everyone else. At the end of the day, if they still don't like you, who cares? They'll be fired and you'll get their job, or they'll be fired and you'll be promoted, or you'll be promoted, they'll still be stuck in the bottom hating on you. But at the end of the day, corporate America, it teaches you how to get along with people who don't like you. Another interesting thing about this concept is I find that people who generally speak and play team sports, they're a lot better at this than a lot of other people. And the reason why I say that is because if you grow up pretty much your whole life playing like hockey, basketball, football, baseball, you're kind of forced to basically do things. You're basically forced to play games with people you may not necessarily like for the greater good. So basically, say you're playing on a team or whatever, right? And you hate the point guard, or you hate the quarterback, or you hate the wide receivers, or you hate basically your offensive lineman, or whatever. You hate the goalie. You still person pretty much want to go on that field, go on the court basically, and dominate your competition. So I generally find that people who play sports, they're a lot better at this. I'm sorry, they pick this up a little bit quicker than the ones that don't. But in any event, corporate America teaches you how to get along with people who don't look like you, who don't vote like you, and who may not even like you at all. Next, 401k match, ESOP programs, and retirement accounts. One of the things that I always tell anybody that wants to belittle people about corporate America is I ask them straight, okay, how much money is in your retirement portfolio? And what's usually interesting is that when I ask them that question, there's like a little pause and they're surprised that I go there. And the reason why I say that is because anybody that's working in corporate America, I don't care who you are, the second you start a job with them, you should reach out to HR and say, do you have a 401k match? And if so, what percentage is it? And whatever that 401k match is, immediately you should basically start budget. You should immediately basically contribute to that 401k up to the match. And the reason why I say that is this: imagine you say you work for a company, that company says, yeah, our 401k match is $5,000. That means that basically at the end of the year, if you put $5,000 into that account, you get an extra $5,000 of free money, which means that basically you put $5,000 in, you got $10,000 out. That would be like me walking to you on the street and saying, okay, Chris, if you give me $5,000 January 1st, by December 30th, Christmas Day, I'm going to give you $10,000 back. Name one person that would not basically take up for that deal. Oh, and by the way, on top of that $10,000 you're going to get, it's basically going to be it's basically going to be tax. It's basically going to be money you can take out for your taxes or whatever. So in other words, Uncle Sam is not going to tax you on that. ESOP programs, 401k matches, or whatever, that's the easiest free money you're ever going to find in capitalism. Outside of being on welfare and tax breaks and tax cuts, the 401k match is one of the best things that happen to any employee who's working in corporate America. And a lot of programs also have an employment sharing option program, or ESOP program, where depending on the amount of time that you work for the company, they literally will pay you free money depending on this. So if you work there for 6 years, they may give you $40,000 to $50,000 when it's time for you to retire. So check into all that stuff, people. The 401k match, in my opinion, is one of the best things that corporate America offers you, in addition to the other things that I talked about, because it literally is legit free money. Next, corporate America teaches you how to master a skill set that you can go out and monetize. This is something else people that also want to talk about, because it's one of those things that I see a lot of quote unquote boss chicks, a lot of quote unquote high value men, a lot of quote unquote CEOs and CFOs, even though they have no employees, talk about. And that is, okay, they're claiming to be bosses, but when you actually talk to them and go over the numbers and find out what they're really good at, you can see that there's a huge knowledge gap pretty much as far as what they're trying to say they can do. Whereas if you work in corporate America, you're forced pretty much to kind of learn those skills. And what I mean by that, if you've been a mechanical engineer for 20 years, let's say working on jet engines and things of that nature, you're pretty much dang near going to be an expert. You should anyway be an expert at that. If you practice law for 20 years or whatever, for a very respectable law firm, if somebody asks you to moonlight on the side pretty much, especially in that field of interest that you've been studying, you should be very good because you have 20 years of experience doing that. And that's what I mean by that. People that skip that step, they go directly from college or directly from their parents' basement into quote unquote owning a business, or people go directly from college into owning their own. Unfortunately, usually there is a little bit of a gap as far as the knowledge base. Sometimes that knowledge base isn't even knowledge. Sometimes it's legit people. Corporate America teaches you how to deal with a-holes. They teach you how to deal with people who are very rude, extremely aggressive. I've had people scream at me and cuss at me and throw things at me in meetings before. And that's generally just the way that it worked. Well, as far as throwing stuff at me, we dealt with that a very different way. But what I mean by that is this. In corporate America, it teaches you how to deal with a certain type of person, and it also teaches you a certain type of technical ability that a lot of times people miss if they skip that step. So as I said earlier, corporate America teaches you basically how to go out and monetize a skill set. Next, it teaches you osmosis. Just like I said earlier, if you're constantly surrounded by people who are excellent at what they do, and they're excellent in their finances, they're excellent in their marriages, they're excellent as far as raising their kids, you would be flat out shocked some of the things that I've learned from people that I've worked with, and it has nothing to do with me being an engineer or construction, or basically me being in inspections or being a legal deposition expert for a law firm. You'd be kind of shocked at little small things you pick up as far as how to handle how to handle a difficult person, how to speak Spanish, basically how to tap into this particular market. Those are all things that you pick up not necessarily in college, but you pick it up by working around people, or by working with your coworkers. Next, corporate America gives you business contacts and networks that are useful down the line. I'm in the engineering world. You can talk to me and say, Chris, I need an engineer, a surveyor, a plumber, a carpenter. I need an electrical engineer. I need an aeronautical engineer. I need an aerospace engineer, literally from New York down to Miami, and I can find you a person in seconds. And the reason why I can do that is because that's the industry that I'm in. I have business contacts pretty much across the entire gamut, whether you're doing airports, whether you're doing data centers, whether you are doing government buildings, whether you're doing libraries or whatever. I have point contacts and I have individuals you can talk to, literally electronic Rolodex, as far as individuals that I can reach out to about certain industries and skill sets. And I've developed that basically by working in corporate America. Next, corporate America teaches you how to navigate diversity. This is more so for, I would say, for the white men that are listening to this channel, because let's face it, if you come from a small community or you come from a community where everyone looks like you, when you walk into corporate America, it can be very different seeing a whole bunch of guys who quote unquote don't look like you, or who don't vote like you, or basically have completely different options. If you're into NASCAR and hockey and baseball, and they're all talking about basically basketball, football, or whatever, you have to basically find your way. Say, okay, how in the world can I understand this? If you walk into an office and everyone's talking about cooking dumplings and roti and curry goat and things of that nature, and you're like, okay, what are you guys talking about? Is this food? What is this? It introduces you to a whole new world. So corporate America, basically, it teaches you how to navigate diversity. Okay, if I say this, is this offensive? Is this not offensive? And some of the, I can say, most honest conversations I've ever had about racism, about sexism, and about enablism in America, I've had with people in corporate America who say, Chris, I honestly don't get why this is offensive. Can you explain it to me? Or Chris, I honestly don't understand how to handle this situation, because if I come at it this way, they may say this is sexist. They may say this is racist. What do you think? And some of the most honest conversations I've had with people who do not look like me about some of the issues we have in this country have been over drinks in corporate America, or basically over lunch in corporate America. Lastly, as far as diversity, if you are not comfortable with diversity, I hate to say it, people, you live in the wrong country. America is arguably the most diverse country in the world. And if you take a look at the top companies in America, as really honestly, the top companies in the world, whether it's Amazon, Tesla, let's take a look at the Fortune 100 companies. Amazon, Tesla, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, NASA, all these companies are overwhelmingly diverse. I mean, I'm talking about to the point where it's the companies that are not diverse, that don't embrace diversity, they literally die and they disappear. And honestly, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, because if you basically have a very large pool of extremely smart, extremely competitive, and extremely diverse people, and they all come from different backgrounds, you're going to be pulling ideas from every different facet of life. And the beautiful thing about corporate America is the companies that embrace diversity, whether it's the U.S. military, whether it's the Navy, whoever, they are overwhelmingly more successful than the companies that basically want to keep it the way that it used to be back in the 70s or the 60s. I'll just leave it at that. You literally can pick and choose the best of everyone. And more importantly, if your company basically pushes diversity, and that they say, okay, guys, we want you guys to create groups where you're comfortable, basically. We want you basically to be able to pull from these groups. Okay, you need this. Okay, we want you to be able to pull from these groups and basically pull talent from wherever. And you make people comfortable. If a person who's highly intelligent is very comfortable in their environment, it's going to free up all their energy to pretty much make you as much money as possible. But they're sitting here having to deal with microaggressions, they're having to deal with racial issues, they're having to deal with sexism issues. You're going to basically make a candidate who could have been an all-star basically be a bench player. So companies that embrace diversity are vastly more successful. If you don't believe me, take a look at the top Fortune 500 companies back in the 1970s that didn't embrace diversity and compare them to the ones that did today who do embrace diversity. It's literally a world of difference. Corporate America teaches you how to balance your professional life, your dating life, your financial life, and your mental health. One of the things I've learned about being in the corporate America space, and also basically just having businesses as well, is that you quickly learn what boundaries to cross and which boundaries not to cross. So for instance, let's say you're a single guy and you're basically being a very attractive woman is flirting with you, but you know basically off of the business that you need to operate in and who this individual is, that is not a line you want to cross for a variety of reasons. As they used to say back in the day, you don't get your meat the same place that you get your bread. So basically, corporate America teaches you that. Why? Because if you have a very attractive secretary flirting with you and you're in a senior position or whatever, and you start flirting back and you start messing with it, and let's say she doesn't get the promotion or you do get the promotion, that's a sexual assault lawsuit basically waiting to happen. If you don't believe me, take a look at the Me Too campaigns about what's going on all over the country. Secondly, corporate America also teaches you that work-life balance, because I've worked in companies where a guy's working 80, 90 hours a week, and they basically are getting the promotion, they're getting paid, but their health goes away, they lose their families, they lose their wives, and they literally kill themselves, they commit suicide. Why? Because they never developed that work-life balance. Corporate America, it also teaches you the different types of certifications that you should get in regards to what it is that's going to basically take your life the next level. And lastly, I'll say corporate America teaches you about your mental health, as far as, okay, how do I balance this? How do I balance being married? How do I balance starting a family? How do I balance this client? How do I balance basically telling this person no? How do I basically balance telling this person yes? Corporate America, it teaches you all those things, and it also teaches you how to budget pretty much on a fixed income or whatever. And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs actually struggle with. If you sell real estate, you make $1 million 1 year, and then you basically party it all up, and the next 5 years you make less than $10,000, you're in trouble. Corporate America, because you basically have a fixed income, I have found that it kind of teaches people kind of to balance what they make a lot better. Next, keep it moving. Corporate America also teaches you basically when it's time to do your own thing. If you're very, very good at what you do, talent and cream eventually rises to the top. If you've been the top engineer at your company for the last 20 years and people keep approaching about when you're going to start your firm, maybe you should listen to it. If you're the top carpenter pretty much at your particular profession and everyone says, no, I will only do this job if Jacoby works on it, Jacoby, maybe it's time for you to start your own thing. Corporate America essentially teaches you, if you have that entrepreneur bug, when it's time to go out and do your own thing. And some of the best entrepreneurs that I have ever personally worked with, if you see their track record and you start talking to them and find, okay, what was your resume? They say, yeah, I spent such amount of time working for United Engineers. I spent such amount of time working for Sikorsky. I spent such amount of time working for Apple. And there's a certain skill set that you get, not just technical, I'm talking about people skills as well, that literally go beyond anything you can learn in school. Corporate America teaches you what certifications to pursue. If you're in the engineering world, it teaches you, okay, maybe I need to get my lead, maybe I need to get my PE license. If you're basically in the financial world, maybe I need to get my Series 7, maybe I need to get an MBA. Corporate America teaches you what certifications are necessary, and more importantly, it teaches you which ones to focus on. It teaches you basically, okay, where's my industry going? This is the one, this is the buzzword. Back in the day, everyone was getting Six Sigma black belt. Now, very few people get it, depending on what you are into. So Corporate America teaches you basically which certifications to pursue, and more importantly, how they can financially benefit you. Next, Corporate America also teaches you what industries to focus on and what technologies and locations and industries to avoid. Right now, I would not tell anybody to go into retail. Given the state of what's going on with COVID, how no one's going to malls anymore, given the state that all over the country, malls are basically closing, and given the state that retail, the wages have literally stagnated across the board for like the last 10 to 15 years, I would not advise anyone basically to go to college and get a whole bunch of debt to learn how to do retail. I just wouldn't do it. At least not on the level where you go into a brick and mortar store. Given the rise right now of electric battery technology, I am a mechanical engineer, so full disclosure, I'm a little biased when I say this. Given what I'm seeing right now with smart driving cars, I would not advise anybody right now to basically become a truck driver, unless if you were owning the company and you were hiring the truck drivers. And the reason why I say that is because given what's going on with smart vehicles right now and with lithium batteries and things of that nature, in 4 to 5 years, I would not be surprised at all if 80% of the trucks on the road pretty much have the ability to self-drive themselves. So if you have millions of truck drivers pretty much who are unfortunately out of work because you have a driverless truck on the road, what could that possibly do to you? And this is the reason why I say kind of have an idea. Corporate America teaches you where is the industry going, where the industry not going. And if you are a trucker listening to this podcast right now, there's always ways to self-educate yourself and kind of make a pivot in your industry. You can basically go on the management side of trucking. You can possibly go on the engineering side of trucking and say, okay, if batteries are where it's going to be, how can I figure out how to create these batteries? There's always different ways you can pivot in your industry. So once again, people, self-education as well. Lastly, I'll say self-education. Corporate America teaches you that. It teaches you, okay, what is it that such and such are doing so they can go to the next level? What is it such and such are doing so they're going to the next level? A lot of them, they self-educate themselves. So once again, everybody, this here at Financiation, I just wanted to go about different ways that corporate America prepares you for life. A lot of times people want to poo-poo, they want to belittle guys who basically get up, or women as well, who get up, put their pants on and go to work and work for somebody else. And I've never understood the point of that. To me, I've learned more skills working for people and other companies. I've learned more skills than I ever learned pretty much sitting in a classroom. The school of hard knocks, call it whatever. You learn a lot basically by being around excellent people. And those excellent people basically sit around you every day at work, or they sit in the cubicle next to you, or they sit on the construction sites with you. Listen to what these people have to say because they have knowledge as well. So with that, guys, once again, it's your boy Chris. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And I want you to financially emancipate yourself from generational poverty. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, and I have a good one. I'll see you in the next one, everybody. Peace. Peace.